Hey there, everybody. Robert Taylor with Wonderscape Creations, continuing on with our Ninja Bear Studio plugins. So let's go ahead and get the inventory started. As far as the UI goes, if you have been following along in the last two episodes, we got the inventory plugin set up and all of the combat items and everything communicating with the inventory. So now everything is ready, but we can't visually see anything as far as the UI goes with our inventory. So we will go ahead and get that all set up now. And that means we're going to have quite a few more widgets to do. So if we go to UI, go into HUD, child widgets, I've gone ahead and made two separate folders here. Combat, where I put the vitals one that we made a few episodes ago, and now we're going to do inventory. So we're going to right click, we're going to come to user interface, widget blueprint, and we are going to search for Ninja inventory item widget. Now, as you can see, there's also a drag widget. We will get to that eventually. I just first have to figure out how to make it all work because I've never been good with UI. But this tool has been helping me get a lot better with that. Sorry. And as you can also see, we're using common user widgets. We'll touch more on the common user widget stuff when we cover more on the view models sometime down the road. So let's go ahead and create the Ninja inventory item widget. And I'm going to name this WBP for widget blueprint inventory item. We will open this bad boy up. And the first thing we're going to do is desired on screen. Then, sorry, adjusting my mic here because there's a lot that we need here. And unfortunately, my mic arm gets in the way. All right. So the first thing we want is, as per usual, a size box. And for this size box, for default here, these things can be adjusted as you see fit. And they can also be altered based off of children widgets if you make other widgets to put in here. But this is just how I'm choosing to do it for this instance. I'm not an expert with UI in the slightest. I just did the best that I could to figure out how Uriel had his. Next thing we want is a border. And if I select the border here, as you can see right now, it's white. What did I change? The brush. There's a couple things I changed actually. First, for padding, I changed everything to a 2. Zoom on in here. And then for the brush, I chose the border here. Is it this one? No, it was not. That's a cool one though. Borders stone edge. There we go. This is what we are choosing. And I think that is all we have for the border. Yes. The next thing we want is an overlay. Place that in the border. I don't think I did anything special with the overlay. Oh, the padding of the overlay is set to 2. Okay, it's already there. Now, the next thing we're going to have are 3 different images. First image, place right here. We're going to name this one background. just so that we know what it is. We're going to fill this bad boy up. And the brush itself is borders underscore stone. There we go. The next one that I have here is called gradient. Alrighty. And for the gradient, obviously, we want this to fill again. And as a side note, remember, I am using this UI stuff. If you don't have it, you don't need it. You'll have to get a little creative, but you can still make this all work or have it set up for when you do have some UI if you don't already have your own to utilize. So now for this one, I do gradient black circle. There we go. See, it's starting to look like a real cool thing here. And then for the next image, it will be named icon. And we will fill this up and leave it alone. The next thing we want to do is create another size box. Place it in the overlay, just right here. And we want ours bottom left corner. You can put yours in whatever corner you want. The size will be 20 and 20. And the padding, it looks like I did. Yes, that would make sense. 1 and 1. There we go. That was the choice I made. You do not have to make that same choice. The next thing is the final thing that we need for this part is a text. We're going to do common text. Place that right there in the size box. It's currently really hard to see, so we're going to go back in here to the icon and just make a different color. Okay. So we are going to name this quantity text. Make sure it's a variable. I'm going to put it at 1,000. And then the font, it has the default stuff for when you don't have the style stuff set up for the common. We'll get to that way down the road. But for me, I did, let's see here. Make sure I got it right here. Roboto, bold, 6. We definitely want this in the center at all times. And then we also need to center and center. There we go. That is our little setup here. So we want to make sure that the icon is also a variable, which it is. That's good. And now we're going to go to the graph. Now in the graph, first thing we're going to do is in the pre-construct, we'll grab the icon, set visibility. We want the function, not the variable. We're going to set it to collapsed. Now we're going to do that because we don't want it seen unless certain things happen. Same with the quantity text, which as you can see, we can have multiple things plugged in here. Now, if we go back here to designer, we see this. If I hit compile, they go away. So this is what everyone's going to see by default. Now then, the next thing we need to do is we need to create two functions, set icon and set stack. Let's go back into the graph and we'll hit this plus sign on the functions and call it set icon. Do that one first. And in the input here, we want to call this icon. We'll look for a texture 2D. Now we will come in here and check is valid. And if it is, let's get the icon here. And set brush from, as you can see, you have a whole bunch of options, but we're going to stick with texture. And then we'll place you right there. And to keep it clean, I'm going to put you up here because we have some stuff to do in the not valid. If it is not valid, set visibility back to collapsed. Now, as you recall in the event graph and pre-construct, we set it to collapsed already. But if it's valid, we don't want it to be collapsed. So now we're going to set visibility again. But this time we want the not hit testable. So now when this icon is indeed valid, we'll be able to see it. Compile, save. We're going to create another function called set stack. And in set stack, we are going to want in the input, we will call it quantity, and it will be an integer. The first thing we're going to want to do is greater than, not 0, but 1. That way, if there's more than 1, then it'll show up. So if it's a stack with 2, then we'll start seeing it. Then we are going to want to get the quantity text. Set visibility. This, go right there. Place this right there. And we're going to drag out of here, choose a select node. Place that in there. So that this way we know if it's false, collapsed. If it's true, not hit testable. Now, this is not something I myself have messed with yet. I haven't altered any of this stuff, but usually when we do text, let me find it this way, set text. Usually you don't choose this, but we are. Usually you choose a function right there, set text. Not 100% sure why he has. You know what? We're gonna see if it works. Cause why not? If it doesn't, then we know why, and we can change it. We now want this integer, this quantity, right there. Okay. compile and save. I do believe, I just want to double check, but I do believe that that is all that we need. Yes, it is. We have everything. No, it is not. Go back to the designer now. If you recall, there is view models. So we want view models. We went over how to find them a couple episodes ago, but if you're following along from here and didn't watch that one, if you go to Window, you have view bindings and view models. We need both of those open. So view model, and we need item user interface. Let's see. You know what? Let's do this. Search for item user interface. There we go. Hit select. And then we also want to get another view model called item stack. Hit select. Yes, that is both that we need. So before we do anything else, we need to make sure we set these to create instance. So make sure you select the topmost. So view model.items or underscore item stack. Create instance, do the same thing with view model underscore item user interface. Very, 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 very important. Will not work otherwise. Okay. The next thing we need to do is hit the add widget. We're going to select the big widget, the main one, and then select the inventory item. And we're going to type in the search for set icon. Hit select. And we'll come in here and in the view model item user interface, we will choose icon and hit select. Now we will hit the plus sign right here to create another binding. And this time we will search for set stack. Hit select. And now we will go into stack and get the stack size. And there we go. Everything is set up as it should, if I'm correct. Let me double check. Okay, yes, it looks like everything is correct, which is exactly what we want. And with the time that we have, I'll make this one a little bit longer. That way we don't have one normal sized one and then two very short ones. Or, you know what I mean. We're going to keep it at 2 episodes instead of making it 3. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to create the inventory for the backpack. So we are going to open up the content drawer, and next to our inventory item widget, we'll go to user interface, widget blueprint, and we will search for Ninja inventory container widget. Hit select, and this will be WBP underscore inventory underscore backpack. Let's go ahead and open it up. Excuse me. And the first thing that we want is a vertical box. Learn how to spell vertical first. And didn't change anything in the vertical box. The next thing we want is a text. And I'm going to choose the common text. Oh, also make sure we change this to desired on screen. And I'm going to leave it as text block, but we're going to name it label. make it a variable. And then we want to make sure it's filled that way. Okay. We are indeed good to go there. The next thing we want is a size box. We'll place that right here. And the size box, I don't mess with anything in this particular one. And now we want one called, let's see, what is this one called? Because it's a unique one, named slot. Next we want named slot. We'll put that right in here in the size box. And we're going to name it container view slot. If I recall correctly, that's important to name this one this exact name. I didn't change anything. And now we want a inventory container box, not a border, a box. Then we are going to go here and change the wrap size to an explicit one. You don't have to. That's what everything is doing. So that's what we will do. And we'll hit compile and save. Go here into the graph to make sure. Okay. Nothing in the graph for this one, but we do have some view models. So we will search for inventory items, select, and what we want is, no, we don't want it in there. We'll hit that, select the backpack, then in the backpack, refresh items, hit select, and then in the view model, we want get items. Okay, couple of things. Glad I went ahead and double checked. In his guide, he does not set it up. So we won't set it up here, but we will in the future. So we're going to go back to the label, and I'm going to name it backpack. So it's already named for us. We are good to go. The next thing, we need to select the inventory backpack thing. We need to choose the container data that this is housing, which is the backpack. All right, compile and save. Now to create 2 more widgets, and then we can check and make sure that it is all working as it should. So let's open this back up. Come on, container. And we need another widget blueprint. And if I recall correctly, yep, it's the exact same kind. We need a Ninja inventory container widget. This one is WPP underscore inventory underscore primary. We will open this one up, and we've got a few things to put up. First, a vertical box, then a text, then we're going to need a size box, then we will need a named slot, Then we will need an inventory container border. Oh, wait a second. Did I forget it? No, for that one, we don't have it. Excuse me. And then we need our WBP inventory item, just like that. Now, obviously, we want to desire it on screen. Go ahead and do this. Now, let's make a couple of changes to the new variables here. Now, this text is a variable for later down the road. We're going to name it label and then change this to primary. Now, the size box, oh, this needs to go in there, and that needs to go in there. Let me make sure I did it right with this one. Sorry. Okay. So make sure that the named slot is the parent of the inventory container border and that is the parent of the widget. So this named slot of ours, we will name to container view slot. And then we have the container inventory border. And then we have this widget. Now the size box, I did override at 90 and 90, which shows that that needs to be child of that. Something does not seem to be right. Give me one moment. All right, so let's go back to the label size here, and we need to go to the font. That's at 14, and there we go. We're at a perfect box. So now that we have this set up, don't forget we need to click on the inventory, the main parent thing right here. Scroll up to the top. We need container data. This one is the primary. Compile, save. Content drawer. We're going to right click on the primary, hit duplicate. Secondary. You can open it up. We'll make a couple changes here. And then change this to secondary weapon. And we are good to go. This one is ready. Now then. Oh, there is something that I forgot that I'll now have to do in both of them, but I am glad that I noticed it now. Okay, yep. So let's go back to the primary one. We need a view model. Inventory items. Hit select. Again, make sure you change it to create instance. Now I'm glad I went ahead and checked because I did not create an instance for the backpack. Now what we're going to do is add to the primary widget itself, select refresh items, and get, oops, that's right, select on this, look for get items, there we go. Compile and save, go into the secondary view model, look for inventory items, select, click on it, create instance, add widget, the main widget, look for refresh items, and oh, can't type the get items right there. All right, compile and save. Now we're going to make the big inventory, the main inventory, the inventory that will house it all. Why isn't the content browser raising? There we go. Now we're going to right click, and we need another user widget, widget blueprint. This one will be Ninja inventory window widget. Select WBP underscore inventory. Now we will open it up. And the first thing we will put, well, first thing we'll do is desired on screen. But then we are going to put a size box. And then inside of that, we want a vertical box. And then inside this one, we want another size box. And in this size box, we want some text. And we will change it to title. It is a variable. Then the next thing we want is a spacer. Which goes right here. And this spacer, we want it to be 1 and 15. Zoom on in here so we can see better. Now, after the spacer, we now want a horizontal box. And, wow, excuse me. In there, we want yet another vertical box. Now, within this vertical box, we are going to place the primary and then a spacer and then the secondary. And for this spacer, it'll be 5 and 1. Weird that that didn't seem to change. That's fine. Compile. Anyways. Then we want to get, that's why the spacer's in the wrong, no, there's another, I selected the wrong spacer. There we go. We want 1 and 5. There we go. Now after the secondary, within the vertical box itself, we want another spacer. No, within the horizontal box, I'm sorry. We'll change this to 5. There's the change I was looking for. And then we want the backpack. And we will put that right there. We will then have one final spacer. The 5 right there. And that is our inventory. Now then, we need to select the view model, search for inventory layout, and hit the right, hit select. Select that, do create instance. And from here, we will, on the title, add widget at title, text, and then select the view model and get display name. And then what we are going to quickly do, actually, how long has this been going on? We are going to end this video here. We are well past what I want for these video lengths. So in the next video, we will get this attached to the HUD and make it to where we can hit the I button and it'll open the inventory and close the inventory as we go back and forth. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.